מזמור לדוד, אדוני רואי לא יחסר, בינות דשא ירביצני, על מי מנוחות ינהלני, נפשי ישובב, ינחני במעגלי צדק, למען שמו. גם כי אלך בגיא צל מוות, לא יירא רע, כי אתה עמדי. שבטך ומשענתך, המה ינחמוני. תערוך לפני שולחן נגד צורריי. דשנת בשם ראשי, כוסי רוויה. אך טוב וחסד ירדפוני כל ימי חיי. ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים.
Please join with me the words from Psalm 23, which Cantor Schiffman just chanted in the Hebrew. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guides me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Today we gather to recall with fond memories and with love the life of Sandra Lipman, a loving daughter, wife, sister, mother, grandmother, aunt, and friend. The book of Ecclesiastes teaches us this: L'kol zaman v'et, l'chal chefetz tachat hashamayim, et laledet v'et lamut. A season is set for everything, a time for every experience under heaven. A time for planting and a time for reaping, a time for keeping and a time for discarding, a time for loving and a time for hating, a time for embracing and a time for refraining, a time for slaying and a time for healing, a time for laughing and a time for weeping, a time for dancing and a time for wailing, a time for birthing and a time for dying, a time for speaking, a time for silence, a time for seeking, and a time for losing. In our Jewish tradition, every single year we read the Torah. We rejoice at its end, even though the final section details the death of our leader, Moses. Upon its completion, we return immediately to the beginning and start to read the Torah from its opening once again. Judaism teaches that our lives are like a book. Our actions and words are recorded. This week, just after the celebration of our New Year, Rosh Hashanah, Sandy left this world, but she has left her book, her legacy. The rabbis imagine Moses crying while writing the final chapters of the Torah, telling of his death. And so it is today. We have the opportunity to open up, to share that book of Sandy's that was closed, to start from the beginning so that we may bring her praise, tribute, and love, learn from her life, learn from her teachings so that we can carry her forward. As the final words of her book have been written, she returns home in peace. Sandy returns to her beloved husband, Paul, who was taken suddenly in 1985, after little more than 22 years together. Sandy returns to her beloved daughter, Susan, who was born on their anniversary, again taken tragically so young, just 3 months after Paul's death. Sandra returns to her parents, Sophie and Harry, all of blessed memory. She joins them all in heaven. Sandy leaves behind many in mourning, her loving daughter Karen, son-in-law Danny, the apples of her eye, her grandchildren, Aaron, Evie, and Ariel, her brother David and Sharon, nieces and nephews Rana and Brian, Annie and Kevin, great-niece Claire, great-nephews Truman and Elliot, and a very large circle of friends. At this point, Sandy's niece Annie will share family remarks.
Thank you, everyone, for being here today. Sandy would have been thrilled to see so many people. As I was organizing my thoughts for today, one saying continued to pop into my mind. Well-behaved women rarely make history. I think this fits Sandy. She was a go-getter. She did what she wanted to do, and she let nothing get in her way. And I mean nothing. My Aunt Sandy got it done. In childhood, it was just my father and Sandy growing up in the house. Their father traveled during the week, and their mother watched over them, loosely. Sandy was 7 years older than my father, and therefore had quite an advantage. She would pluck her eyebrows in the bathroom mirror and put the hairs on the vanity light bulb. For years, my father believed that the light bulb could grow hair. We still laugh about it today. While she got a thrill out of teasing her brother, she also looked out for him. When Joey Hollis was bullying him, she took care of things. So Joey, wherever you are, watch out, because here she comes. She taught her little brother how to ride a bike and how to play baseball. In fact, she was the only girl in the neighborhood who played baseball, so she played with the boys, and she was better than most of them. Scarlet fever at a young age left Sandy with hearing loss, so school without hearing aids was not her most favorite place to be. She would sneak out in favor of the bowling alley. Eventually, she would become a bowling instructor. As an adult, she went semi-pro and played in a traveling league. Her license plate, S289, was her high score, which, wow, 289. Sandy married Paul Lipman in 1964. Together, they raised their girls, traveled the world, and were leaders in philanthropy. Among many other charities, Sandy and Paul were co-founders of the Israel Tennis Centers, a program that began as a way to forge friendships between Jewish and Arab children. This was one of the first programs of its kind. Today, it's a model for so many others. Sandy was an accomplished artist. She worked at American Greetings and began a company called Cookiegram with my mother, her sister-in-law, which was like the precursor to today's giant personalized cookie industry. The pair also had a window decorating company called Window Talk, where fearless Sandy would scale ladders and scaffolding to great heights to hang incredibly imaginative displays. Being the ingenious artist that she was, I heard she once used her paints to cover her expired license plate tags. That takes guts. Sandy was still young when Paul unexpectedly passed away, and then her daughter Susan 10 weeks later. This turn of events would have destroyed so many people. Through it all, Sandy picked herself up and kept going forward. She loved to travel, so she went to Kenya on a safari by herself. We understood that the guides could not keep her in the car by day or in the tent by night. She was often exploring, often on her own, until the night she heard the lions roar uncomfortably close, and that brought her back in. Sandy also created a second home for herself in Florida, where I would often visit. Shortly after my 16th birthday, she took me to a show in Miami in her white Jaguar convertible. We were cruising down the streets, listening to music, enjoying the warm night air, me marveling at the thrill of Miami, until we found ourselves literally on the wrong side of the tracks. Seriously, we somehow ended up at a dead-end street near a railroad track. I can only tell you, through the naive eyes of a 16-year-old, the trouble we were in. Some of the most unsavory characters you'll ever not want to meet, catcalling, whooping it up, making their way ever closer to us. Sandy is panic-stricken, trying to maneuver a three-point turn to make our way out of there. I'm here, so you know how the story ends. But that night bonded us something fierce. We were sweaty and freaking out, but we were alive, and we celebrated our victory all the way home. Sandy lived a full life in 80 years. She told me so just the other day. She traveled, played, created, sculpted, painted, and lived on her own terms. She remarked at how she made it through so many tough times, so many tragedies that didn't break her. She said she was ready to see Paul and Susan, that she knew they were waiting for her. She commented that she would miss not being able to see all the kids grow up, but that it was time for her to say goodbye. And if we would watch over Karen, that would be all that she needed. I assured her we would. When she closed her eyes for the final time, it was Karen who watched over her, day and night, ever present by her mother's side, ensuring she wouldn't be alone, uncomfortable, or afraid. While the relationship was a complicated one, in the end, they gave each other what they needed, the kindness and forgiveness to move on. Sandy faced the end of her life with a clarity, kindness, and determination that was inspiring. She was brave and strong in her weakest moments. Well-behaved women rarely make history. Now Sandy's history is ours to hold. The good, the bad, the bitter, the sweet. May her memory forever be a blessing.
Annie, thank you for sharing that beautiful tribute. The rabbis say that words that come from the heart enter all of our hearts, and you truly did that. Sandy was resilient. She had a rough exterior but a heart of gold. She needed to be strong. She was sometimes misunderstood. Sometimes you may have misunderstood her because of her hearing loss, but there was a lot to her. She was loving and very kind, incredibly artistic, smart, and funny. Interested in your life, she had a great laugh. She had compassion for the world, was a great athlete and friend. A sports junkie, Sandy had no ego, no pretenses. She told it like it was and marched to the beat of her own drum. Born and raised in University Heights, she graduated from Heights High, spent a year at Ohio State, and then returned home for that American Greetings job that Annie described. She met her beloved Paul, set up by Leonard Ratner. Leonard said, "I've got a guy for you." He introduced them at an Israel Bonds dinner, and they clicked. Sandy and Paul balanced each other, the perfect complements, a bit of yin and yang. He was quiet and patient. She was always on the go, busy. Paul did everything for Sandy. He only wanted to make her happy. She was good for him, the social one. She got him out. They traveled the world together, expanded his friend circle. They played tennis together in all the couples leagues. They raised their 2 daughters, caring for both of them. I know how much Mom loved both of you, although she didn't always know exactly how to show it. Sandy loved her grandchildren, Aaron, Evie, and Ariel, and you each shared with me special memories of your grandmother, and each showed a unique connection that you had to her. Evie, you told me how Grandma taught you new artistic skills, especially painting watercolors, how she took you shopping at Michael's almost every single day. You're going to miss painting with her, miss going to her place, you told me. Aaron, you appreciated how whenever conversations would get serious or sad, Grandma would turn it around and be happy. She'd have a big smile and just ask you how school was. She always wanted to know how you were doing. You loved how she would always just let you come over, show up any time, and how happy you made her. If you wanted to use one of her tennis courts, she'd let you. She'd want to watch your tennis meets. You could always tell how much she loved you. And Ariel, you told me how you loved how you could go to her pool and swim anytime. You described her as an interested grandma, always interested in how you were and what you were doing. You loved how she always wore big, colorful sweaters, how she collected soaps that you loved to play with, how she'd take you to hands-on pottery, and you loved all the sculptures that she made. Sandy's younger brother David and Sharon, you were more than a sister-in-law, a sister-in-love, very close, as well all the children and grandchildren, all the nieces, nephews, great-niece and great-nephews. The family jokingly called Sandy Snadge. That was the family nickname for her. Sandy was a wonderful friend, had a large circle of friends, from her contemporary art group to the tennis group. At Wiggins, she loved Thursday blintzes, I'm told, loved those rummy cue games, all her great friends and neighbors. A friend, Evie, shared memories from the couple's tennis group, and Lois from Wiggins told me it was a blessing to know Sandy. She was a woman for all seasons that will surely be missed. She could worm her way into your heart and fill it only with kindness and love. Sandy was good-hearted. If she heard of a need, she'd take care of it. Outspoken, a lot of fun. Though she was sick for many, many years, she hardly told people. She didn't want her sickness to define her. If she loved you, she took great care of you. A huge sports fan, playing tennis, golf, softball, bowling, a professional bowler. She loved the Indians and would, of course, be their biggest fan right now. She had a special Bob Feller baseball, and when I mean special, I mean special. For the story goes that when she was in high school, she actually broke into Bob Feller's car and took one of his signed baseballs. She had her vices. You already heard from Annie a few of them. She also loved to gamble, had a cable TV descrambler until David told her that they were sending out the cops to catch everyone with them. An accomplished artist, Sandy painted oil and watercolors, sculpted fabulous pieces, a very strong Jewish identity, a deep connection with the state of Israel. She volunteered for so many Jewish causes, as well as MAD and the PBA. She was complex, strong, and loving, hard of hearing, but very expressive, bitter and remorseful, joyous and warm. She was complicated. But these last few weeks, when the lymphoma finally took its toll, she showed all of you such courage. She was sweet, kind, and thoughtful, appreciative, and loving. She told you, I've had a lot of good experiences and saw many things. She was brave because of each one of you. Karen and Danny, David and Sharon, Ronnie and Brian, Annie and Kevin, the grandchildren, the great-niece and great-nephews. You were all there. You rallied around her. You showed her extreme devotion and care. Karen, most especially, such a devoted daughter, as Annie already said, by Mom's side through it all. Along with your Aunt Sharon, you made certain she was content, well cared for, with respect and love from the whole family. You gave her dignity and love. She knew that you loved her so much, and you should all know how much she loved you. We can now say that Sandy is at peace. She's suffering no more. Of course, our Jewish calendar reminds us of the circle of life, the cycle of joy and sadness, just celebrating the new year with sweet honey, shifting to the soul-searching day of Yom Kippur. We're reminded that we leave a legacy, that the things that we do in this life will always be remembered. It's my hope and prayer that those very special memories that you have of Sandy, of Grandma, of Snadge, of a mother and a sister, that those very sweet memories, those loving memories, are lasting tributes. Not just the beautiful art pieces that you'll now be able to hang in your home to display as a reminder, but those signs of love, those moments that Annie shared, and all the others that you have inside your heart, inside your head, the moments that will be shared by all those who will come to visit you later today, and hopefully the letters that you'll receive over the next few weeks of different connections and moments that everyone has had with Sandy. May those be the legacy that you have, the treasures that you keep, so that Sandy will always live on in your hearts and your soul. And we say, Amen. At this point, we'll rise now as the cantor leads us in the memorial prayer.
אל מלא רחמים, שוכן במרומים, המצא מנוחה נכונה, תחת כנפי השכינה. במעלות הקדושים הטהורים, כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים את נשמת שרה שבת הרשום שהלכה לעולמה בגן עדן תהי מנוחתה. בעל הרחמים, אז תראה בסדק כנפיך לעולמים, וצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתה. אדוני הוא נחלתה, ותנוח בשלום על משכבה. ונאמר Amen.
Exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and pure, to the soul of Sandra Lipman, who has gone to her eternal home. Merciful One, we ask that our loved one find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May she merit the reward of a life filled with love, kindness, generosity. May her soul be bound up in the bond of life. May she rest in peace. And we all say, Amen. Please be seated. Following our service, interment will be at Mayfield Cemetery, and then family will receive friends at the home of Karen and Danny Steiger, 150 Orange Tree Drive in Orange. Today, after the burial, we'll come back and the cantor will lead Mincha, the brief afternoon service. And then the family will be sitting Shiva today only through 8 p.m. We'll also be doing an evening service approximately 7 p.m. tonight. Those who wish may contribute to the National Multiple Sclerosis Society, Ohio Buckeye Chapter, or the Menorah Park Foundation.